A homeless man who risked his life to save the life of a DC police officer was reunited with his family this week after they spotted him on TV. They hadn't seen him in 8 years and had thought he was dead. John Burroughs jumped into action when he saw another homeless man attacking a police officer in downtown DC the morning. The officer was responding to a report of an assault when the man turned on him and stabbed him in the head with scissors. Burroughs helped get the man under control. "I was really mad at the guy for just stabbing him for no reason. That made me mad," Burroughs told News 4 later. "They're my cops. This is my city and I don't want you stabbing them." Burroughs' niece, Renee Dupero, saw him on News 4 that night. The DC Department of Human Services helped find Burroughs, get him a place to live and raise more than $20,000 for help him get back on his feet. When Burroughs and his niece saw each other for the first time in years, they hugged for a long time. DC Chief of Police Peter Newsham met with them and said Burroughs' actions will never be forgotten. "What you did for our officer, seriously, Almighty the Creator bless you for that. We really appreciate that. You really saved his life," he said. The officer had non-life-threatening injuries and was set to be released from a hospital on the day he was attacked. Dupero said she was stunned to see her uncle on News 4. "I was like, that's my uncle, he's alive. That was my first words," she recalled. The Department of Human Services got Burroughs a hotel room until he can be placed in permanent housing. A fundraiser started by the department, per the request of the community, has raised more than $20,000. One person donated more than $1,000. The family hopes their reunion will mark a fresh start. Now that Burroughs has connected with his family again, he said he plans to hold on. "I'm not gonna lose them now," he said. The homeless crisis engulfing the United States has been fed by a red-hot housing market fueled by more buyers than available homes, punishingly high inflation, and has eaten into pockets, spiraling rents, and governmental policies that favor the rich, corporate entities and others. At 16.6%, Washington, D.C. has one of the largest homeless populations in the United States. Homelessness in D.C. is twice the national average. According to a 2019 survey called A Point in Time of Persons Experiencing Homelessness in the District of Columbia, by the Community Partnership for the Prevention of Homelessness, there were 6,521 homeless people on the streets the night of that report. The National Alliance to End Homelessness said in its State of Homelessness, 2022 edition, that it has been estimated the District of Columbia needs to build more than 30,000 units of deeply affordable housing, 0 to 30% Money Flow Index, MFI, to meet the current need. Mayor Muriel Bowser has set a goal of creating 36,000 new housing units by 2025. City officials estimate that 12,000 of these units will be affordable, with about 4,000 units falling into the deeply affordable category. "These units are essential," the National Alliance said, "but we need more." National Alliance officials add that especially for residents in extremely low-income households, we need housing everyone can afford. According to the report, the district has a variety of policies and financing tools that can be used to incentivize the development of affordable housing, as well as nonprofits, faith-based institutions and private companies that work towards both affordable and supporting housing. But even with all of these resources and partners, creating an adequate supply of affordable housing for our lowest income neighbors is challenging, the State of Homelessness, 2022 edition reported. Patrick Gregoire, an organizer, community builder and former Right to Housing community organizer with One DC, said in an interview last year that more than 40,000 district residents were housing insecure or potentially facing evictions. He said a number of organizations, including One DC, Movement Matters and ROCDC, worked tirelessly to push elected officials to protect low-income and impoverished Washingtonians from COVID-19. The goal was to cancel rent for all residents affected by the pandemic, but they couldn't convince the District of Columbia Council to act in the people's interest. Gregoire, Norouzi and other activists acknowledged that many of the issues DC residents faced during COVID-19 were challenges well before the pandemic. "A lot of people don't know this is going on. We're looking at decades of divestment of black residents, racist housing policies and other issues," he said. "Wages have been stagnant but rents increase every year. They give tax breaks to developers and corporate landlords and this spikes up property values." The community organizer further emphasized how citywide issues hurt Black Washingtonians the most. When something negatively impacts the whole city, Black folks bear the brunt of its impact, and when something affects the whole city positively, these same folks benefit the least. This is a question of racial and economic equity, Gregoire said. Anything nationwide affects the entire city, but Black people are most affected and benefit the least. COVID didn't create any new housing problems, it just exacerbated existing ones. Eliana Golding echoed what a number of housing advocates, experts and activists espouse. That's something as basic as having a safe, affordable place to live as an inalienable human right. The short of it is the question of economic policy. In our society, housing is a commodity and not treated as a basic human right, said Golding, an affordable housing and workforce development policy analyst with the DC Fiscal Policy Institute. Rents are high and going up in Washington, D.C. There is higher demand for apartments at various income levels. It's a seller's market. Landlords can keep asking for higher rents because there's always someone willing to pay. They will charge what the market can bear. People with more money have more buying power, and people with less ability will have to make hard choices like directing money from food, utilities or other expenses to cover their rent. Juan Pablo Garnham, audience and community engagement editor at the Eviction Lab, said the rent crisis is affecting not just low-income individuals and families too, but also those with middle and higher incomes as well. The United States has been going through an affordable housing crisis since the Great Recession, which is related to the low levels of supply, high levels of demand, and the difficulties to access loans for a big part of our society, especially among low-income residents and potential first-time homeowners, Garnham said. In many parts of the country, there's also been regulations that limit access to renters and low-income people, which add pressure to the market, including zoning restrictions and limitations for building more units. Garnham said the rent squeeze is also exacerbated by reports of more corporate groups and LLCs buying housing in larger numbers, increasing rent prices, making it more difficult for individual buyers to compete, and potentially provoking evictions and displacement.